Yoga, the path to inner perfection. What is inner perfection? Everybody knows that perfection of life is the perfection of happiness, right? I mean, who can deny that? Everybody wants to be happy. Why does everybody want to be happy? Because it's the nature of the soul. The soul has many inherent characteristics. Characteristics that can never be separated from the soul. Just like an inherent characteristic of water is wetness. In this glass, there's water. I haven't touched it, but I know for a fact it's wet because all water is wet. Whether it comes from the sky, from the river, from the tap, from this glass, it doesn't matter. It's wet because it's an inherent characteristic. Heat and light, inherent characteristics of fire. Can't separate them. So, the soul has many inherent characteristics, and one of those is the characteristic of happiness. It's the nature of the soul. When the soul is in its original perfect state, it is filled with what is known as Ananda. Ananda is the Sanskrit word that means spiritual happiness. When the soul reaches that, then it can be understood the soul has reached perfection. See, this is what we're trying to do right here in our life. But what is the problem? We identify with our material body. And therefore, I experience deep within me my desire for happiness, but I translate that into the body's need for pleasure, satisfaction. And I think if I make my body happy, then I'll be happy. And so that becomes my goal, making my body happy. And how do you make the body happy? Through the senses. The senses are the avenues of pleasure for the body, right? That's why if you lose one sense, it's a huge loss in your life. The sense of sight is so important. Why? Because I can achieve great pleasure through sight. See, I can see beautiful things, or I can see another object which I can go and get, see, and bring it to the other senses. Sight is very, very important in my pleasure, my happiness in life. You lose that somehow, and it's like, wow, what a big loss. See? And any sense, you know, the sense of smell, the sense of hearing, the touch, the genital, it's all really important to me because it is a source of pleasure for me. It is an avenue of happiness. Even if I'm not getting much there, there's potential. See? Or if I could just see that, if I could just taste that. Now I'm tasting all this other stuff, but if I could just taste that, see, then I would be happy. So we go through our life trying to satisfy our eternal need for pleasure, our eternal need for happiness, through a material source. So I try to stimulate my senses as much as I can in the way that I decide will give me the most pleasure. Certainly, we all get pleasure from different things by seeing different objects, don't we? I mean, for one person, he sees one object, oh, wow, so much pleasure. Another one sees the same object, no pleasure at all. See, if you're a computer person, you look at a computer, wow, it's so beautiful. So much pleasure for me there. And if you're like me, you just look at it and all you see is just, check my email, Nothing going on there for me. It's like, go to some guy's toilet and you sit down, and he's got all these magazines. They're all computer magazines, just like, got nothing to read, But if he has a surfing magazine or some skiing magazine, oh, wow, man, that's right, So we all see things differently. We all have different ideas of what will make me happy. You see, what will stimulate my senses in a pleasurable way. So we're looking for pleasure with the eyes. We're listening for pleasure with the ears. See, different types of music for different people. Some like jazz, some like classical, some like hip-hop, some like this. See, but it's still, we're looking for that pleasure. See, the nose, different fragrances. Oh, I like this perfume. I like this flower. I like this, that. But whatever. Still pleasure through the nose, the sense of smell, the tongue. So much pleasure on the tongue. I mean, this is the big one, isn't it? All day long, we're trying to stimulate the tongue. Get up the first thing in the morning, some mouthwash, see. And then, a little bit later, some breakfast, and then some chewing gum, and then some candies, and then some this, and some flavored that. And, it's all about what is pleasure to the tongue. It's oftentimes not what's good for the body, it's what tastes good, you see. I mean, there's a whole huge industry in the world. You know, America, there's whole one section of New Jersey where they just have all these artificial flavor factories. And that's all they do, just make artificial flavors for the tongues of the people of the world. See, put it in the food, oh, great. See, so we're trying to find our happiness through the tongue. That's why we overeat. See, we've already got enough for the body long ago, but we're still trying to get that pleasure. Has to be more pleasure here. So we eat and eat and eat. Then we get to the dessert, and oh, that's where the real pleasure is. Okay? And so we get fat. We feel like crap. We walk around, indigestion all day long. But hey, you know, it was good while it lasted. See? And on. The genitals, oh, so much pleasure there. See, it becomes our life. But what happens? It doesn't really work. Because it can't. I, the spirit soul, get no pleasure from all the sensual experiences of the body. You see. So it doesn't lead to inner satisfaction, inner perfection, inner happiness.